Okay, shooters, today we're going to show you how to put a new locking block in a Perazzi MX receiver. So if you watch the video on how to take the parts out of the MX receiver, you know that you drive the cross pin out, then you take the firing pins out, and then you relieve the spring pressure on the top lever retaining plunger, and then you lift the top lever out of the gun, and then you just slide the locking block back. So I've already done that. So this is the old locking block that we're going to replace. It was almost to the 6 o'clock straight back position on the receiver, the top lever was. So it had a little bit of life left, but I'm coming up on a lot of shoots here, so I want to go ahead and get that done. So I've got a new locking block here, and the surfaces you want to pay close attention to are the sides. You want to polish those up on both sides. You want to polish the top running surface right here and also right here. And then you want to polish this bottom running surface right along here inside of these two little buttresses that guide the part on the inner frame rails. So we're going to set up our locking block jig here in just a minute, but I wanted to pause the video right now. So here we are at the vise with our Giuliani Locking Block jig right here. We have the locating screw that's going to locate the locking block for us, and we have the clamp screw right here on top that is going to hold the locking block in place. You notice that there's a recess here on each side of the bottom of the locking block. It makes it where it fits really, really well into a vise, so it holds your work firmly as we go forward here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our old locking block and our new locking block, this is the old one, and we're going to set it such that as we put it in the fixture, you can just slide an 8/1000th of an inch feeler gauge. See if you can read that there, 8/1000ths underneath a straight edge on the area where the locking block engages and the top surface of the locking block jig. So I just repositioned that a little bit, and here you can see that I can just not quite slide an 8/1000th of an inch feeler gauge, so I need to back this screw off just a little bit, about 1/4 of a turn, and I'm going to do that until I have just the feeler gauge just passes underneath that scale, and it just does right now. So I'm going to go a little bit more back up, clockwise on the locating screw, and clamp that back down. And I'm pulling the locking block towards this side of the jig when I'm doing that. There's play back here so you can slide the locking block, but I want its position to be repeatable. And there I have just the right amount of fit for the locking block. That's the old one, so we've established an 8/1000th of an inch gap between the sides of the locking block jig and the engagement surfaces of the locking block. So I'm going to take this one out now. I'm going to put the one that we've polished up and already fitted into the receiver. I'm going to push it back against the locating screw, and I'm going to pull it towards the side closest to me, just like I did earlier, and I'm going to tighten down the clamp screw, and I'm going to use an Allen wrench to do that. So now that locking block is firmly held in place. And the only thing we have to do now, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, is start using our file, and we're going to use the file across the high surfaces of the locking block right here, and then when it comes down, we filed flush with the side of the jig. These jig sides are very, very hard. The file will not wear them. The locking block will be fitted to the receiver because we've established that 8/1000th gap. So I'm going to pause the video right now, and I'm going to do the filing, and then I'll resume the video. So I wanted to show you some interim progress here on the filing that I've been doing. You see right here, we have a flat spot that we're filing onto the jig, and we got about another 30/1000ths of an inch to go. And then when we do that, we'll stop and we'll show you how the finished product looks. Okay, so I'm finished with the filing process now. I think you can see that I've got just a smooth surface here where the block is level with the edge on both sides. And you can certainly feel it more than you can see it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unclamp the locking block. I'm going to turn this screw in about a quarter of a turn, and then I'm going to take some emery cloth backed by the file, and I'm going to pretty up these surfaces here where they're nice and smooth. So I'll show you that in just a minute. So now I've got a locking block that's been fit to the gun. I'm going to put it back together, and I'm going to put the gun back together, and I'm going to see how well the lever is to the right. So I put my gun back together, and the lever was still too far to the right. So I moved the adjustment screw 1/4 of a turn up, and then I filed and polished the lugs back, and this is how it is, and that's exactly how I wanted it. I wanted the tail of the lever right at the edge of the metalwork. So the gun's ready to go now. Thanks for watching.